Welcome everybody to today's Town Hall meeting, May 2nd, 2022. Today's agenda, projects and development updates, marketing updates. We will have collaboration updates today as well, and Q&A. Robinson, can you start us off with projects and development updates, please?
Thank you. So we have our usual agenda of starting with process improvements. So I have added two new items to it. One is there's a community feedback saying that the Bitcoin deposit and withdrawal function documentation that we have, essentially it is not layman friendly. So we'll have to create simplified documentation, which is similar to the Hive and SPD documentation that we have. That's one item. And as for the outstanding items, we have the elk log management, which is still being pending, and it's been there for a pretty long time now. And we are also investigating one additional item, which is the we have a internal, not an internal, PBSA block explorer deployed at Peerplays.network. So we are also trying to bring that back as there is no current active block explorers available at this point. So on the Dex UI's initial release, the production version still remains the same like last week, which is 0.7.2, but we have a new release for QA, v 0.75, which is under QA. So here is a quick summary of the items in progress. So these are mostly bug fixes, and there is no additional features being implemented at this point in time. Our burn down and burn up charts, our historical charts. So you can see there's no new features or features in progress at this point. There are a few number of bugs and few items being okay. So we have a few items in review and very few new bugs being raised. Now the efforts and these numbers will go down because we're also focusing on the next UI these days. So let's go to the next slide where we talk about the next UI. So we currently have on the next UI, we currently have one of the earlier versions, 0.0.3, which is undergoing QA. So this has a lot of initial screens like withdrawal and deposit functionality. Various other features in progress are also being shown. And as of today, we have also started. We have also moved one more engineer to the team so that we can work on some of the outstanding documentations. So that will also that will also fall into good shape in the coming weeks. Our burn down and burn up charts for the next UI. This is the earned value analysis for the next project. Since we're not showing the detailed WBS, this is an indication of our current progress. The next item in our pipeline is DexPort. This is currently fully functional, and we have some amount of testing left. So the testing on the testnets is completed, and the last phase is testing on the mainnet with PPY, and this is ongoing. Hopefully by next week we will complete and wind up this project. Blockchain updates. So here the major initiatives are: one, we are extending the voting for the Suns. That is one item which we are working on. And in addition to that, another major item is Ethereum Suns and related discovery. We're trying to come up with the initial tooling for the Ethereum Suns, which includes creation of the primary wallets or the multi-signature wallets. In this case, we'll be using smart contracts to handle the funds instead of just create multi-signature wallet. So we are investigating that. And in addition to that, we also want the REST APIs needed for various operations. So we are trying to figure out infrastructure, tooling, and various other aspects regarding Ethereum Suns. We have the QA environment pretty much ready for this. In addition to these items, which is mentioned in this slide, we are also investigating substrate-based development environment for our future development. Essentially, we are looking forward to use Substrate, which is a SDK it's SDK used to develop Polkadot and various similar blockchains. Essentially, Polkadot and Kusama, which is like a active testnet for Polkadot. So we have identified Substrate, which is a Rust-based framework for extending our features. So we are also trying to get set up on the Substrate framework. So going forward, the blockchain development team will be bifurcated into two. One will work on the existing features and the existing code base, and we are exploring means to have a mechanism where a second team can be how we can create a second team which will work on this substrate based discovery that we're currently working on. So in the coming weeks, we'll have more details. So right now, the substrate and the entire new ecosystem, which is part of the Polkadot ecosystem, we are investigating, and it's a massive step for us. So we are investigating the next steps. In the coming weeks, we'll have more details on that as well. The burn down and burn down and burn up charts for the current activity. So those burn down and burn up charts that's primarily for the Hive Suns voting and various other improvements that we're working on. And the substrate related work that we're working on, we are not yet in a position to have tickets and everything. And in addition to that, one of the last items that we need to improve when it comes to the Bitcoin sensors. Right now, the deposit letters creation is slowing down or essentially hanging the Bitcoin nodes. So we have to upgrade some of the cryptographic libraries and bring a library by the name Leak Bitcoin. So we will also be trying to work on that the upcoming weeks. So as for this chart, there are a few small features being completed, and there are a couple of new bugs are also created here. So one of the items that we are seeing is with respect to the Sun's deposit and withdrawal, we seems to have few bugs here and there. Both Kiran and Riley had reported a couple of items. So that is some of these bugs, but in general, we'll be looking at those items as well. The next item is the Peerplays Python library. So in this, along with this, we had challenges with a Faucet application, which is small but very important application that we are using for account creations and everything. We have been limping along when it comes to Faucet and its installation, and it had like numerous bugs. So we have completed the bug fixing phase for Faucet. Now it needs to undergo testing. So that's some very good progress that we've made here. Now, on the Python library, I had indicated last week that we'll be working on bringing in the Sun features, and even for the NFTs, we have to bring in some enhancements. We'll be working on that. And in addition to that, we also need to look into the performance improvements, the performance of the Python library as such. Because with our Dexbot and Hummingbot AMM that we have brought in, we would expect a reasonable KPI or key performance indicators from the Python library. But at this point, we are not in a position to say what are these numbers looking like. Looking like how many transactions we can do per second, or how many orders we can place, or how many orders can be settled. Even though for order settling, Python library will not be involved. So none of this is extensively used in orders as well as the transactions. The Python libraries could be outdated. So this is one item that we'll be performing first. That is even before getting into the Sun related features. We are trying to get at least a fair idea about our performance, so that we can say that this is the number of TPS transactions per second that we are getting for transfers and placing orders and things like that. So that is one new initiative that we are starting on the Python side. The Express NFT marketplace. Here we have very few resources here, and the primary focus is creation of the new UI, which is in progress. I happen to take a initial review of the UI. It looks very similar to our next UIs. It's too early to make any comments, but we're making progress in terms of creating these UIs, and we are also discussing about we're working towards demo as well. Okay, our charts, the burn down and burn up charts are here. That's all from the development team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robinson. Michael, can you please start us off with marketing updates? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. The marketing updates for this week. The SWOT project for the 2022 products is well underway. Stage 1 is complete, and I am summarizing the responses, and we'll be having a summary put together in a presentation internally this week, and then we'll be moving into stage 2. So some of you can I will be contacting you for some input with respect to things we'll have going forward. We have the design and launch of the careers landing page on Peerplays.com. We've fixed the bugs to allow completion of the custom plugin, and the is functional and is going to be awaiting use for having our job postings on the career page and getting them properly, or the page properly indexed and going forward, so that we have everything that we need. And Bobinson had mentioned earlier, it's not on this update, but we will be undertaking an exercise for a Bitcoin deposit into our DEX summary, giving a how-to very similar to the Hive one that we did a couple weeks ago. And that will be starting this week as well, and hopefully have it in relatively quickly to make that pretty relatively easily and straightforward for the deposit for Bitcoin. That's all for the marketing updates for this week. We can move to Salah for the performance.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of performance, so I made today last month's April's performance in general for Peerplays.com and also social media. In terms of Peerplays.com, we had a pretty good increase in terms of users, mainly coming from the organic emails and also the test campaign that we did for the new witnesses. And also the bounce rate is going down, which is a good indication. We're still working on the website in terms of the UX and fixing some bugs, plus adding more articles, so we can bring more better organic traffic and have a better KPIs stats. So for the next slide, this is the main pages, the top visited pages for Peerplays.com. There's the home page, the witness landing page, which was mainly used for the campaign, and also there is the career. And as we worked on the career page and it's launched, so we're starting getting good visits to it, which is a good indication. So in terms of social media for the last month, good growth for the LinkedIn, Instagram, and also Facebook in terms of engagement. And we're still working on getting new strategies to improve our engagement, mainly using the Twitter strategy, and as well as getting it to Facebook and Instagram. So this is the main summary report for the month of April in terms of performance stats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salah. Jonathan, collaboration updates, please.
Thank you very much. So these are the collaboration updates for just this past week in regards to Peerplays collaborations. So in the gaming sector, Gaming Benefits Corp, we had our weekly meeting once again. We discussed about the same thing in regards to how they're going to integrate with Peerplays. We also discussed a little bit about the future in regards to the future updates with Peerplays, as Bobinson noted earlier in today's call. So that went well, and so that's still ongoing. Community, Avalon Scenes. So as mentioned in the previous week's update, we're moving forward with working with Scenes for Peerplays, and that has progressed also in this past week. As a matter of fact, we'll be having a follow-up right after this for kickoff as we work on getting that deployed, which will be very exciting because that'll be something that the Peerplays community will be able to utilize. And if you haven't seen it, you can check out Avalon Scenes just by Googling it. It's a very advanced platform. Very exciting that Peerplays will be integrating with it. And in the financial sector, Decentral Capital had another follow-up in regards to Accredited Investor Service, which is another product that they're looking to introduce that utilizes Peerplays. This relates to real estate overseas investments that they're interested in to introduce. That was it was rather brief, but it's still ongoing, which is also good news. So those were the only 3 collaboration updates for this past week.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. And we'll get on to questions, comments, and thoughts. We did have some come in from the community. These would be towards Jonathan or Bobinson. The first one is Jonathan. Any chance you can get some guest speakers from PBSA's development partners, or can you host a discussion with any partners to talk about what you are working on together?
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty good idea. I would have to see if collaboration partners would be interested in doing that. Generally speaking, they're pretty focused on utilizing Peerplays for their solutions, but they haven't expressed any interest in reaching out to the Peerplays community specifically. But I could definitely be able to field questions with them and see if they'd be interested in either coming into the town hall or possibly arranging for a separate in-person, quick overview, between myself and them to talk about their project, and we could maybe share that with the community. It would have to be a different format. I see this as a possibility maybe when we do introduce the new Scenes platform. I think that might be a good opportunity to do something like that, actually. So yeah, we'll look into seeing if we can do that sometime soon.
Thank you. Second question. Is there a working block explorer for Peerplays? If no, is there a solution being worked on?
We do have an PBSA built block explorer, which was deployed on, which is a minimal block explorer, but it works fairly well. And this was deployed to a URL called peerplays.network. But over a period of time, we have stopped using it because we had a community provided explorer, which had a lot more features and which was actively updated. So in the short term, what we're planning to do is we will try to bring back our original block explorer or the PBSA built block explorer, which has all the minimal functionalities. What it is missing is things like list of sons and NFTs. These are missing as of now, but we'll try to bring it back first, and based on the requirement, if there is a feature, if there are requirements or requests for any specific features, we may try to extend. But right now it is down and it's not active. Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be able to bring it back.
Thank you. And last question, can we get a general update about how it is going with ThreeSpeak and Hive, please?
I'd like to give a general update. However, actually, I was hoping to get on a call with them so that we could field this question, but unfortunately, they weren't available until later today. So we will be giving an update on this, but it won't be until the following town hall. So that's all I got, unless Robinson wants to give some additional info.
Yeah, but on the Speak side, what you said is where we are at right now. On the Hive integration, we are fully functional as of our previous hard fork. And we have tested both Hive and HBD functionalities as of, if I remember correctly, we did our first mainnet deposits between Hive blockchain and Peerplays blockchain on 24th of Jan 2022. So it's fully functional, and we've been all so deposit of Hive, withdrawal of Hive, similarly deposit and withdrawal of HBD. This is fully functional. And in addition to that, the DEX functionality, that is, anybody can trade Hive and HBD against PPY or HBD on the Peerplays DEX at this point. So this functionality is also fully. So the end-to-end functionality with respect to Hive was available for multiple months now.
Thank you. And that concludes today's town hall meeting, May 2nd, 2022. Thank you everybody very much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.